I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control and I think I like it. Woohoo! Energy. Rowie, you've always got so much energy. Where does energy come from? And as an exercise professional, it's probably the ABC. In fact, I won't say probably. It's definitely the ABC of how to be a top-level exercise professional, how to get people healthy, fit and strong. You have to know where energy comes from so that people have got the energy to get fit and get strong. So obviously I'm outside in the sunshine where all energy comes from. Everything we do, everything we eat, everything comes from, energy comes from the sun. But how does that transfer into me being able to, and today I'm going out in the garden, so how does that transfer into being able to lift heavy rocks, lift heavy logs, move wheelbarrows full of sand and gravel, be able to dig and pick and rake really hard, and I do everything at 100% effort. So how do I do that? Where does the energy come from? So of course we eat food. So the question that I always ask all exercise professionals is, do you know your 4 macronutrients? Where do they come from? And a macronutrient simply means macro being big, micro being small. So micronutrition is vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, the things that our body uses to be healthy. But macronutrients are what we need to survive. So I always use the example, there's 4 macronutrients, as you know. We've got carbohydrate, protein, fat and alcohol. And if I go out into the desert and I haven't eaten for 3 weeks and I'm starving hungry and I come across a bag of protein, carbohydrate, fat or alcohol, so that could be a bag of butter, it could be a bag of sugar, it could be an animal, and it could be a box of beer, any of those will keep me alive. So that's what I always find interesting when people talk about good foods versus bad foods. If you've got no food, you need a macronutrient to survive. Now, we like to have a combination of all 3, and some people think that alcohol is a very important macronutrient also, but our body can survive on a macronutrient. So to say that carbohydrate's bad or fat's bad or you need this amount of protein, your body needs a certain amount of everything to survive, but to actually survive and not die, I always use the example when you go to hospital and you're on a drip where you can't eat food at all. It's not a protein drip, it's not a fat drip, it's not an alcohol drip. Some people might like that. It is a glucose drip because your brain runs on glucose and your brain controls everything. So if you don't have glucose for your brain, obviously you can't stay alive. So that's a great place to start. Now, the alphabet again of energy to exercise, energy to move, the breakdown of ATP, adenosine triphosphate, to be able to have the energy to do the stuff for muscle contraction that we need to, anything that we do requires ATP, which is the pure form of energy. Then there's 3 systems for that. We have the phosphate system where there's the stored phosphates in the muscle. The immediate response to what we're going to do is stored inside the muscle, and it's argued but about 0 to 10 seconds. The lactate system, which is a breakdown of carbohydrate, a breakdown of sugar, a breakdown of glycogen, both of those systems don't use oxygen. So we've got the phosphate system and the lactate system where we're using stored phosphate, stored carbohydrate without any oxygen. Then, of course, we go into the aerobic system where we're now breaking down carbohydrate, protein and fat to provide us with energy to create ATP. Now, again, a very slow process compared to instant energy for the phosphate system and somewhere between 10 seconds to 2 minutes for the lactate system. So there's 3 energy systems, phosphate, lactate, aerobic. The energy sources for those, if you don't have the energy, your body will have to produce them from somewhere else because the body's amazing at doing that. So yes, if you don't have glucose, your body will go through the process of turning, for instance, fat, the ketone process. If I don't have carbohydrate and I'm going to die, my body will turn protein or fat into food for my brain, into glucose. Very complicated process and very hard for the body to do, but it'll do it to survive because obviously the purpose of the body is to survive. So if you're looking at how do I get people healthy, fit and strong, what's the energy systems and what energy do I need? The macronutrients, carbohydrate, protein and fat is what the body runs on. So where does alcohol fit into that? We store fat in a fat cell. We store carbohydrate in our brain as glucose and in our bloodstream as sugar, glucose, blood sugar. Notice how it's called blood sugar. It's pretty simple. We need it, otherwise we can't do anything. We store carbohydrate in our muscles and in our liver as glycogen, but it's all carbohydrate. And then protein, obviously, your body is made of protein. Your hair, your skin, your nails, and every other substance inside your body is made of protein. That's where we store it. But there's no storage space for alcohol. Where do we go? When you drink alcohol, where does it go? It goes into your bloodstream, and then your body wants to burn it up really quickly because it's a toxin. Alcohol is not a substance that goes well inside the body. Now, people will argue that, of course, but if you drink too much alcohol, you feel sick, you get drunk, you don't function very effectively. So your body says, we've got this toxin inside, we've got to burn it up quickly. So alcohol becomes the preferred energy source. Then everything else that we eat, if we're drinking alcohol and eating food, the rest of it will get stored. Now, fat automatically goes to the fat cell. That's easy. A little bit more complicated to turn protein and carbohydrate into fat, but your body will do it. De novo lipogenesis. Your body is again capable of doing that if it has to. So if you overfeed your body with protein, overfeed your body with carbohydrate, your body says, you've given me too much food, I've got nowhere to store it. Interesting, the carbohydrate store is only about 0.5 kilo. So once that's full, your body says, I have to put this somewhere else now. So de novo lipogenesis goes into place to turn carbohydrate into fat. Just as a quick side note, about 25% of those calories are burnt up in the process. So it's not like carbohydrate, 100 grams of carbohydrate turns into 100 grams of fat. 100 grams of carbohydrate, if you overeat it, 75 will go to fat. 25% is burnt up in the process of doing that. So it's just an interesting side note. So what does all this mean? It means that if you eat carbohydrate, protein and fat, your body will use them in one way, shape or form, or store them. If you sprint train, if you do high intense activity, you need carbohydrate because that's what the body runs on. Stored phosphate, ATP is the energy source for everything that we do, but it's much easier for your body to go, okay, stored phosphate in the muscle, and then we want to break down carbohydrate in the lactate system, and then we break down carbohydrate, protein, and a little bit of protein and fat for the aerobic system. So they are the macronutrients. You put alcohol into that mix, and now we've got, I've got to get rid of this alcohol, I don't want to store it in my body, so I'm going to burn up the alcohol, and everything else that you eat is going to get stored somewhere. So it's going to get stored in the fat cell, it's going to get stored in your carbohydrate stores, but only 0.5 kilo because that's all we've got, so the rest of it will end up in as fat. And same with protein, we're going to store it in our amino acid pool to create hair, skin, nails, bones, all the ththings that the body's made of. But if you've got too much, then your body says, well, I don't know what to do with all of this, I'm going to turn that into fat also. So the interesting thing, and I'll just wrap all of that up because sometimes think people make it a little bit too confusing. There's 4 macronutrients: carbohydrate, protein, fat, and alcohol. We use carbohydrate, protein, and fat for energy. And if we have alcohol, your body will use the alcohol and store the rest. Pretty simple process. So if you want to get really fit and strong though, and you want to have a body that's a fat burning machine so that your body burns up everything that you put into it, you've got to get fit and strong. And fit and strong, the ultimate way to do it, of course, is to work at 100% effort. Now 100% effort, the only energy system for that is the phosphate system, and that is stored phosphates. Once you go past your 10 seconds, you're starting to tap into your carbohydrate stores, and once you go longer than 2 minutes, you're now tapping into your carbohydrate and fat combination with a tiny bit of protein. So what are the 4 macronutrients? Where do they come from? They obviously come from food, and all food is grown literally energy from the sun. So the process is not that complicated. The other really interesting thing to take note of is that fat and carbohydrate are made from carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Protein's made from carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. It's pretty much the same stuff. So to get really caught up in one food's good and one food's bad, any food is bad if we have too much of it. Alcohol, protein, carbohydrate, fat. If you eat too much, your body goes, I don't know what to do with this, and the whole system breaks down. The beautiful thing though is when you're fit and strong, you can't eat too much because your endocrine system, your hormonal system tells you when you're hungry and tells you when you're full. So you eat when you're hungry, you stop eating when you're full. You drink when you're thirsty, you stop drinking when you're not thirsty. You go to sleep when you're tired and you wake up when you're not tired anymore. That's a healthy, fit, strong body. So to get healthy, fit and strong, yes, we need the energy to do it. but we seem to focus a lot on food. What if we just focus on get people really fit and strong? Then the endocrine system will be working effectively, the central nervous system will be working effectively, and then isn't it exciting that everything else will work brilliantly? So as an exercise professional, I just focus on get people puffed to get them fit, get people lifting heavy, overloading their muscles and bones to get strong. Then the endocrine system and the central nervous system sorts everything else out so that people come to me and say, Rowie, I don't feel like eating junk food, or I don't feel like drinking too much alcohol, or I don't feel like eating too many lollies anymore because my body is telling me what I need and what I don't need. That's a healthy, fit, strong body. So if you want to live your life to the max, get fit and get strong, and everything else might look after itself. Woohoo! I feel good. Na 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 na. I knew that I would now. Na 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 na. So good, yeah, because I'm healthy and I'm fit and I'm strong. Woohoo!